This is ContactTalkRadio.com. Consciousness in action. And you are taking action into your consciousness by tuning into Contact Talk Radio.
And on TuneIn.com, Hing.fm, and UpSnap Mobile.
Contact Talk Radio.
Welcome to Transformation with Tara Sutphen. Tara Sutphen is the author of Blame It on Your Past Lives and Soul Agreements. 3 audio CD series, metaphysical meditations, sourcing series, and sleep programming. Tara has also collaborated with Emmy Award-winning Shane Stanley and Marla Maples on numerous DVDs. Tara Sutphen is a master in the psychic sciences. If you'd like to find out more about Tara's work, upcoming seminars, and meditations to help you fulfill your dreams, visit her website at tarasutphen.com.
Welcome to Transformations with Tara. This is Tara Sutphen. And my guest today is Scott Grossberg. He's an author and a motivational magician. He is a master metaphysician as well. And Scott is a success thought leader. He has followed a lifelong study of symbols, metaphors, images, and meanings that life shows us every day. Scott has also achieved extraordinary success in the business world as a business owner, entrepreneur, and lecturer. Having earned both a degree in philosophy and a doctorate in law, Scott has released 3 best-selling and critically acclaimed books, with 1 more on the way. And, well, I don't know. It's probably out now, isn't it? So it's The Masks of Tarot, and Bata, Betraying the Face of Illusion, The Vitruvian Square. It's a handbook of divination discoveries, The Deck of Shadows. Oh, talk to me about everything that you're doing upcoming, Scott. It's great. Welcome, Scott Grossberg.
Oh, good morning, Tara. It's absolutely an honor to be with you again.
I know. We haven't gotten to talk lately. Yeah.
We haven't, and actually the new book is out now. It's called The Most Magical Secret, 4 Weeks to an Ecstatic Life. And then there's a workbook that's available for it, and I'm excited to actually let your listening audience know that it was just, both books have just been picked up by Walmart, of all things. So it's actually available not only through Barnes & Noble and Amazon, but Walmart is now carrying it, which was a big thrill for me.
Oh, yeah, that's great. Boy, they're opening up their minds.
They are, and like I said, it's one of those things when it was announced to me, it was, really?
Yeah, because Scott is a really master metaphysician. I mean, you know, we dabble in really trying to find the secrets of the, not so much the occult, but really of the mysteries of what the universe has to offer. And Scott and I both dabble with that a lot. And so I like that. That's really wonderful that they have picked up your book, because, you know, it's time for people to be seeing, you know, I think on a deeper level what they're, what they see for themselves and what they see for others, what they hear themselves and hear not only what other people are saying. You know, you open up to a whole way of life of being able to know it, see it, feel it, and hear it.
I can tell you what I think is happening out there, and I'm starting to see it in both a business arena, but more importantly now with things like this new book. When I was working with the publisher and working with the people helping me produce this, you know, when you put a book out, you have to put it in a category. And it's frustrating as heck for someone who puts out a book like what I've done here with The Most Magical Secret, when they say, okay, Scott, is it a book about happiness? Is it a book about success? Is it a self-help book? Is it a new age, you know, woo-woo, super secret stuff? It's a book that covers happiness and success. So we got down to those 2 categories, and then I was told, well, pick one. And I said, no, it's both happiness and success. That's what the book is about. You know, I tell people when I'm out doing my live events or coaching, you have an obligation to be happy, and there's the and in there, it's not an or, and you have an obligation to be successful. And so in categorizing this book, I kept saying it's both. It's happiness and success. And things went back and forth, and I finally got my way. And when you actually look on Amazon, for example, under the headings for it, it's listed in both categories of happiness and success. So I think what's happened is, in a bigger sense, our world, forget our country at the moment, our world has gotten to the point where they're saying, kind of like what you heard in the network movie, I'm mad as heck and I'm not going to take it anymore. And people they have this vacuum, this hole of, okay, cool, I'm not going to take it anymore, but what am I going to do about it? And so this book is a way for others to, I'll steal the words persist and resist the negativity that's out there and take back their own lives. And while I use the word the most magical secret, Tara, you and I've spoken before and exchanged emails, and we chat all the time. Magic isn't something where one person has some super secret information because they walk on a higher plane. I specifically don't even define magic because it's something that's so unique to each individual person. And during our talk today, maybe we'll be able to discuss some specific rituals, that this whole put yourself under a spell that you can do every single day to find your own magic, no matter how you define it. And I think ultimately that's what these more mainstream companies are starting to see, because they're all now getting into mindfulness and meditation, and they understand it's good for their human resources. The world will be a better place when we suddenly start taking back our own options.
Right. It's fun. It's fun, what we do. I feel the same way as far as, magic is what you make of it every day. It's first of all, turning an attitude, having a different viewpoint and having a bit of an attitude adjustment. If you are continually criticizing everyone and everything, it really starts to bring you down. And I think it brings your cellular system down as well. So if you are on this whole path of looking for magic in life and treating your life as a miracle, then it starts to, act as such.
I will tell you, one of the things I've started doing, and I started doing it after the book was actually published, so I couldn't put it in there, and I might do an addendum. And for those of your listeners who are on social media, we have a Facebook group. It doesn't cost you anything. It's called The Most Magical Secret, where a bunch of like-minded people all get together and bolster and boost and promote and cheerlead for each other and hold each other accountable for all of these magical things. What I started doing was actually based on an idea by an author by the name of Tim Ferriss, and some of you may have heard or read his Tools for Titans book, which is phenomenal. Go out and get it. I have no interest in the book as far as producing it or whatever else. Absolutely spectacular book. Along the way, Tim was talking about, I believe, something his girlfriend had mentioned to him, and that was to start creating a little assembly of scraps of paper where you just write down things that bring you joy during the day. And I took that to the next level, and so I have sitting next to my desk what I call a jar of magical happenings. And it's a glass container with an all-seeing eye on it. It's got a top on it, so it looks like one of the old alchemy bottles. And every single day when something happens that is just one of those knock your socks right off your feet, jaw-dropping, oh my gosh, what a wonderful, experience, I will take a slip of paper and write that down in that moment, capturing the feeling, capturing the emotion, capturing the visceral feeling, whatever it is, fold it up and put it in the jar. And so I've now got this collection of magical happenings sitting next to my desk. When you're in the doldrums, when things aren't going your way, when you have frustrations or challenges, and everybody has them. I've got a chapter in my book, literally entitled "Shit Happens," and it does. I don't care who you are; it happens to you.
It does.
When you're in those modes, you open your jar of magical happenings, you take out a slip at random, and you read it, and you reclaim where you were before. And here's the interesting thing, Tara, that starts happening. When you start dedicating yourself to looking for magical happenings, however you want to define that, when you start looking for that, suddenly that reticular activating system in your brain, that's what you start looking for. And it's been very fascinating working with people. They don't even go back to the journal and look at it. They're just suddenly saying, my gosh, I feel happier. I feel more in control, because now they're starting to look for the positive in their life every single day because they want to fill their jar up, rather than being a victim to the negativity that's in the media and what you hear, all the stuff. You name it, it's out there, right?
Right.
So this is a way for people to take back that power and create this jar of magical happenings for themselves.
Yeah, absolutely. And I have to say that with what's happening in media, everybody knows where I am as far as closeness to the to the U.S. politics here. Anyway, I don't necessarily, I'm not in line with everything that ever happens with decisions that are made. But the bottom line is that we have to stand up for being at peace within ourselves, and we have to be examples in life. And so the thing is that my spirit guide always told me, I think she prepared me like 25 years ago that, don't read too far into things when you think they're going wrong, that there are going to be people who rise to the occasion, who are great leaders, who are going to come because of adversarial type of thought processes, and just go with the flow. And so, you don't see me. I'm no negativity coming from me.
But it's one of the things that I find really fascinating when I'm working with people is they look at me a little askance. They kind of go, "What are you talking about, Scott?" When I say we've gotten into a mode as people, as the human race, of believing that we are supposed to feel happiness and do things that are successful. And I will get it right out there right now that if you continue along that path and you believe that you are programmed to feel happiness and do success, then we are doomed to failure, and we are going to always be in this victim drama reactive mode. And so I'm suggesting to people that what they do instead is that they do happiness in order to feel success. And that's a complete switch. And I don't guarantee many things, but I guarantee if listeners will just simply start understanding that happiness is something you do, it's a physical, physiological, mental activity, and that success is something you feel, it will be one of those little aha epiphany moments for them. One of the biggest, I guess, turning points for me was when I read a technique by a gentleman who works for Google. And some people, they know, you might know him by the name of Meng. His full name is actually Chade Meng Tan. And I think I'm pronouncing that correctly. He works for Google, and he's got this wonderful job title. His job title is Jolly Good Fellow, and then in parentheses, which nobody can deny, parentheses. He started as an engineer. What a great job title, right?
You're right.
He started as an engineer at Google way back when it was not Google, and he's now teaching mindfulness courses for them. And he had this wonderful technique that I heard about that I said, hey, I'm an inner astronaut. I'm out there always exploring. Let me do this and see what it does for me, because I think a lot of people. Can I share a story for a minute? Do you mind?
Yeah, I love it. No, go.
When I was growing up, I was not out there pushing myself. Extrovert. That's not Scott. Scott used to hide under the bed, literally, when he was a kid. I was afraid of the dark. I wouldn't talk to people. Painfully shy. At one point, I believe somebody even had suggested to my mother I might have high-functioning autism. It was that bad. And that just wasn't me. And I had to teach myself and train myself and study techniques to get out of that shell, to be someone who could be on the phone with you right now. You know, I look back and go, hey, Scott, at 12 years old, you know, you'd be doing this today. I would have laughed at you. It was like, yeah, right. And then I would have crawled under my bed again. Mm-hmm. So I'm always looking for new techniques and new strategies to see what works. And here was the interesting thing that Meng put out there. He said, what if you made 3 wishes in a day? And in those 3 wishes, you wished for somebody else's happiness. And I went, what a cool idea. And so, of course, Bean Scott kind of retooled it and reworked it. And so I'm going to pass on to you and your listeners what I do every single day. The moment I wake up, what I do mid-afternoon when I go on my meditation walk, and then what I do right before I go to bed. So I'm passing on my personal ritual that I do. And I've taken what Ming put out there, kind of taken it to the extreme. I'm telling you the results are phenomenal. And I want to backtrack for a moment. You know, a lot of people will pray, or they'll ask for things, or they'll do their little inner source finding. In today's world, we've gotten so caught up in ourselves and what we need and what we want and what we desire and what we want to manifest. We've forgotten how to forget about us for a moment and start thinking about other people. And so here's the ritual. You wake up in the morning, first thing you do, you lay in bed, you open your eyes, and you say the following inside your head. Today I wish that, and you just start with those words. Today I wish that, and then you fill in the name. So I'll just get it out there. I said, today I wish that Tara is happy.
Oh, thank you.
And then you imagine Tara being happy, whatever that is. Now, I've seen the pictures and we've talked. I know Cheyenne and know your dogs, and I kind of know all that stuff about you. So I then go in through my head, and it has nothing to do with me. I'm just picturing Tara being happy. And I will tell you how you know when this works. When as you're going through it, you suddenly feel your face smiling because you can't help it. Once you've connected with this ritual, you can't help but smile because you're not thinking about anything other than the other person being happy. The key that Meng came up with was you do it 3 times. So in the morning, it's not just Tara, it's usually 2 people that I know very well and then a third person that I don't know so well. And I will do all 3 of those people, go through this little visualization in my head before I even get out of bed. Make sure I'm smiling. I know I've done my thing. It's like a 3-minute meditation. That's really all it is. You get out of bed, go do your thing. Repeat that for the same people in the middle of the day. Again, I do it as part of my walking meditation. And then just before I go to sleep. I'm going to guarantee people that if they will stick to this ritual, that over the next few days, they are going to start saying to themselves, why do I feel better? It is a very calming, empowering, profound experience that Meng came up with. And it's literally you're giving yourself 3 wishes during the day. It's just that you're wishing for somebody else. What a marvelous thing if the whole world did that.
Oh, wonderful. You get out of your own, you get out of your own shell.
Yeah, you're getting out of your own stuff. Yes. And that's been the biggest, when I talk to business leaders, other executives, we sit around and I think a lot of people know I'm a trial lawyer. Mm-hmm. I'm paid to fight for a living. Come on. I'm paid to have conflict, and we all know everybody, for most part, doesn't like conflict. And so here I am paid to fight every day. I'm paid to get in my own skin, get in my client's skin, and to all of a sudden being given this marvelous opportunity to just say, hey, I'm going to do a technique that puts me at the center of peace. Nobody needs me. Nobody wants me because this isn't about me. this is about Tara. This, and you use whoever it is that you want to use. But this has to be done every single day.
Oh, I can't wait to start doing it.
It gets to the point, you're going to find how easily you can program and rewire your brain because it's so plastic. That's this whole neuroplasticity concept that's out there now. I find myself now, whereas before you had to make a conscious effort, now it's like driving a car. I literally wake up in the morning and the first things that go through my head are, today I wish that. I'm not thinking about anything else. It's your brain gets into this routine. And so I'm a big believer in one of the things I talk about in the new book is developing habits. I literally want you to get habits. We all have them. Get addictions. We all have them.
Strengthening the mind is a great habit. It is a great habit.
I happen to be addicted to happiness and success. What are you addicted
right.
to? And so once you get into that, you'll be amazed because we, as human beings, keep going back to that which is pleasurable. I know a lot of people are into pain. I know a lot of people think they have to suffer for their art, for their money, for their success, and I think that's all hooey. You don't have to suffer for anything unless it makes you happy to suffer, and then believe me, the world will feed you as much suffering as you want. The world has for you. The reality is, we go back to what's pleasurable. You start making wishes for other people's happiness, you will keep going back to it. Now, I'm going to give everybody a caveat here, a warning on this technique. This is not a technique where you say, I wish that Tara is happy. And by the way, it's in the present, so it's not Tara will be happy, Tara is going to be, it's Tara is happy. It's an immediate present thing. And I'm not telling you, I told you about it on the radio right now, but I'm not picking up the phone and calling whoever that is and saying, hey, I'm wishing you happiness. This is an internal thing. This is not a bargaining chip. This is not a business deal. I'm not wishing Tara happiness to get anything. If you find yourself wishing someone happiness in exchange for whatever it might be, that's a business deal, and it won't work. And so really, this is putting your stuff aside, putting your drama aside, getting down, dirty, and simple. This isn't a prayer. This isn't a hope. This is you're walking along the beach, you find Aladdin's lamp, out comes the genie, you get 3 wishes. And I know all the rest of us would say, I wish for money, I wish for this, I wish for that, I wish for my health. No, you get 3 wishes for 3 other people. And all you're going to do is wish them happiness. Pretty powerful thing that Ming came up with.
It's really wonderful. It is. Yeah, I do the where you stand on gold coins, and I try to help people kind of dream it so that you don't get too locked in your head in manifest form. And when I'm doing meditations and working with people, and that is just beautiful because you can because I say the bounty and the blessings of the planet are already yours by birthright. And so it's just standing on those gold coins, opening your hands to receive. But boy, if you really put in these people that you're in the present right now wishing for it, that what a beautiful concept, Scott. Thank you for sharing that.
Oh, but you know what? You're welcome, but it's Ming's. I just kind of took it and put it on steroids. And I can, anybody listening right now, and Tara, I invite you right now, just for a second, it's that quick. Just imagine for you, Tara, Cheyenne, and just say, today I wish that Cheyenne is happy. And then picture her in whatever you imagine her doing, the most fun thing she's ever done, and just notice your face. You can't help but smile.
Right. She's probably chopping vegetables in my mind. She loves chopping vegetables. She says it calms her and she loves it. Whereas chopping vegetables is like a nightmare for me.
As long as you're seeing her happy, it works. See, you're already laughing. And so it's one of those things. This is what I'm talking about when I'm saying this is called doing happiness. Not being happy, which means something's got to happen out in the world external to you for you to be happy. If so-and-so, if such and such happens, then I'll be happy. If such and such happens, then I'll be angry. If such and such happens, then I'll be depressed. And if people will begin realizing they're just a giant computer with an if-then code running, and that they can take that back and hack their own happiness and success, now they've got some powerful magical happiness. Because this is now how you start manifesting, is getting in that frame of mind where the drama is set aside and you can call on your emotions however and whenever you want.
Yes. Yeah. And I think it's so simple and so sweet. To whereas, I do a lot of sourcing, what I call sourcing for people, as far as so that they get out of their own way and out of blocks. And I don't feel that I'm helping them. I feel that their spirit guides move in to help them. And I've asked for that. I've asked for them to have help. But it's interesting. I mean, just the simple, sweet messages is definitely going to take us all far.
An interesting thing is, because you were talking about spirit guides, here's an interesting thing for people who follow that practice. And whether you want to call them spirit guides or angels or fairy godmothers, whatever you want to call them,
right.
I've always been a big believer that you don't just ask for things without being willing to give back.
Mm-hmm.
For those who practice that particular belief, what if you just did this and said, I want my spirit guide. My spirit guide is happy. You put the name in because that's your power and that's your trigger. And you say, my spirit guide is happy. Oh my gosh. Now you're giving, now you're not just taking, now you're not just doing whatever. For those who have, belief in God or all that is or whatever name you want to use, what if can you imagine someone sitting down and saying, oh, Jeannie, I get 3 wishes. My first wish is that God is happy.
Yes.
Things like that today. And so, again, it's exactly what you're saying, because I believe that the true power of a magician and making magic real begins with your ability as a magician, as a wizard, as someone who manifests, to be able to control what it is you want. And you can't know what you want unless you have control over the way you think and process and feel.
Yes. Yes. And that's not like, Scott, you're a great example. It's not like allowing life to pass you by being passive. It's about actually stepping into your life. And when bad things happen, that you react very practically, and don't overreact in any sort of, in a karmic way that it's going to manifest into something terrible. I mean, you are staying in control.
These techniques that you and I are chatting about, just standing on the coins and walking meditations and making 3 wishes for other people, it's when you practice these, while they become habitual and addictive and downright pleasurable, you're still going to have things that happen that are challenging. Someone will get sick. You might get sick. Someone will get hurt. You might get hurt. Someone will pass away. You might be given some horrible news. What this does, however, is empower your ability to have choice. And that's really, I think, Tara, where you and I come from when we work with people, is giving people permission to make choices about their own lives. We're starting to see that now, and I'll go back to the political realm. People are saying, no, just no. It's just not going to be that way. Now, a lot of them, unfortunately, will say no without the, okay, what are you going to do about it? And they get on the bandwagon.
Well, there's a lot of complaining.
There's a lot of complaining without doing.
Complaining,
and
yes.
Putting back into the doing mode.
Yes.
It goes back to the old Gandhi thing: be the change you want to see in the world.
Yes, and it has to start from the home. If your home is in chaos, you can't expect them to fix actually the world. You have to start within you, and the complaining doesn't work. Yeah,
and that's why these little tricks and tips that you and I are chatting about. If listeners just heard you talk about standing on the gold coins, my head's already reeling, right? I'm going, wow, I don't think people realize the gift Terry just gave them. This is, for example, listening to this show and then people dedicating themselves, making a promise to themselves, and then fulfilling that dedication and promise that when we're done, when you and I are done after this hour, that they're going to actually go out, get off their butts, and do something.
Yeah.
A lot of people today collect information. We're in the information age. It's
Boy, are we ever. Woo.
You know,
I contend it's making people's minds spin in too many directions. You don't know which way to go. It's very much overload. That's why people are taking a lot of prescription drugs and everything.
Exactly.
Yeah, you don't know what to do or believe.
And so, I run a number of businesses. I write. I exercise. I've got a family. I've got all these things going on, and you can easily get into decision overload. And so one of the things I remember hearing way back when President Obama was elected, because I kept making a lot of public appearances, I'm always looking at how are people dressed, what color palette are they using.
Mm-hmm.
And I always noticed he only wore, I think, 3 different colored suits.
Well, Scott, don't you speak for Apple and stuff? I mean, these are huge forums where you're watching people and you're really an influence to a lot of these people. It's wonderful. But go on. Sorry, I didn't mean to.
All I was going to say was what I started realizing was there's a reason he's only wearing these 3 different kinds of suits. It's because he didn't want to think about them.
Oh, right.
Took one of those decisions off his plate. And I'm really inviting people with these exercises. We're just taking things off your plate for a moment. We're putting you at the center of peace. We're saying, get out of your own head. Get out of the oh, woe is me, the overwhelm, the fear. Please don't let fear rule your life, because that is what you're hearing today. It's a standard ploy. Everything that you're reading and hearing about and wringing your hands over, this is not new stuff. I do a lot of public speaking classes and talk about linguistics. And Tara, both of us are hypnotherapists, and we've been through this training. You're being fed a lot of hooey. You're being bamboozled, and you're buying into it. And we're giving you tools, listeners, to literally cut through the illusion and get to the real magic instead of this garbage that you're being fed. Don't buy into it because you don't have to. That's
truth. Yeah, I've said that for a very long time in my work, that prosperity is in all things. And as we stand on those gold coins, you must remember that money, especially, is like leaves on a tree. You can call it. But you have to trust that your life is great. You do. And that you have chosen an amazing path upon the planet. And, we're all a miracle. So, step into it. But I really love the idea of wishing others well, because I think we do have to get out of our own shell. I think it's funny too, Scott. I have to tell you that, you were talking about the title of Mang. And, Scott and I are we've studied so much in this life. It's always hard to give us a title. I mean, you have so many titles that you have, and I have so many titles that I have. And it's where do you, we have to choose them down. When I was advertising Scott, I was like, oh my God, he's so much more than that. Oh my God, he's so much more than that. Oh my God, he's so much more than that. Whenever, I have to tell you that it's just incredible because I can't brag enough. It's interesting. I was on a radio show with 5 psychics. I don't know, maybe about 2 or 3 years ago. And they were so after me because I was, an esoteric astrologer, and I was a clinical hypnotherapist, and as well as a world-renowned psychic, and they were giving me a lot of grief over, because I've studied palmistry and personology and you name it, I've studied it, and within the realm of my career, area. So So handwriting analysis, they were like, why? But it was fun for me. It was just like you said, I had those near-death experiences when I was a child. When I was a baby, I had one, and then I had another one at 8 years old. And so I was not an introverted child. I would say that I'm a person who studies naturally people's reactions, and that I knew how they were feeling and why, and that I can see people's strengths and weaknesses right away. So for me to study that, to like, why was I feeling so empathic about everybody and everything, just became a natural for me. And I think that's basically, I think you were over empathic when you were a child and just couldn't take the overload of everybody's emotions coming in at you. So how do I handle it? I make magic from it. Yeah.
Well, yeah. And it's, as you're saying that, I'm going back in my head, and that was very much it. It's literally, you become so attuned, so compassionate. So it's for a kid, it's overload. It's for like I said, I would just crawl under the bed, under the headboard, not just the bed, the headboard, and shut the world out. And for me, I'm projecting a little bit backwards. My fear of the dark wasn't because I actually thought there were monsters out there. It was, there was everything out there, because my imagination was so wild that you pick it, sure, it's true. Everything was true. And I thankfully grew up with parents who instilled in all of the kids that anything is possible. My dad was an entrepreneur. My mother is phenomenally creative as a writer. And so we grew up, thankfully, with the everything is true. Not one thing is true. It's all true. And that kind of leads for a little kid saying, well, I don't want to be in the dark then, because who knows what's out there. And then you gradually, you mature, and you get those filters, and you learn how to put the stop gaps in place, and you get your own set points. Unfortunately, I think in today's world, I talk a lot to college kids, and listening to them, I ask them who their heroes are. They either don't have heroes, or you don't want to know some of the heroes that they've got. I look back at my age and your age, Tara, and it's like the heroes that we used to have, it's not the same for them anymore, because society has taken that away and said, get real and get practical and compete and do better and keep up with everybody else. And wouldn't it be nice if we could go back to people actually having others they could look up to rather than fear?
Right. And then, well, they have so many people to look up to now. It seems to be the words, like all the sayings, that people will look at sayings and look up to that. But there's so much mass communication. There really is. I mean, to where you really do have to, I've even started really meditating every day, 20 minutes at least, if not 40 minutes a day. And I'll do TM and I'll do my stuff, which is the visualization for, right. And really work on others, work on myself, I do it in my practice, of course.
And by the way, your stuff is, for listeners, I know you haven't pushed it, Tara, but I'll do it for anybody who hasn't listened to any of the visualizations that Tara has. You guys are really not taking full advantage of what a wonderful resource she is.
Oh, thank you. Thank you, Scott. Yeah, it's, sometimes, but that's okay. Maybe I'm resting until, I'm going off to New Zealand and, Australia in a few weeks, and I'm out there a lot. I'm working night and day. So, and I know that this is my dharma of life. I was talking last night to, Gurminder Singh, who is the nephew of Yogi Bhajan, and he contacted and wanted to chat last night, and he's in Singapore right now. And he, we were talking about, he has this new project, which is a worldwide project in Asia. Well, it's really an Asian project to help 8 million people or something. And he, that he feels are maybe the poorest or something. And so when he was a child, he wanted to, and a teenager, he didn't like the spiritual business of the family. He wanted to be, you know, isn't that just how it goes? He didn't like the spirit. He wanted to be on Wall Street. You know, it was this whole thing about Wall Street, Wall Street, Wall Street. So he went to college and he went to Wall Street. And, but then he got in the spiritual family business. And, you know, he's the one behind Yoga Teas. They sold the company, but he's the one who does all these humanitarian projects in the name of Yogi Bhajan, you know. So it's just funny how it all came about. And, you know, and then I worked for Guru Dev in September. So it's just this service to the world. So when you're giving, I just love this idea that you every morning. So is it every morning that you do that? You just pick one, or do you pick three each?
No, you pick three. So it's
9 people a day?
No, it's three
just
people
three
three
in the
times
morning.
a day.
Oh,
so,
okay.
So this morning, like I said, you were one of them, and I'll just say that
Thank
ordinarily you wouldn't tell anybody that.
Yes.
But I knew we were going to be chatting, and it's like, I want Tara happy. And
I'm so excited. Thank you.
And so, you're welcome. And so, you're picking three people. Now, I'm following Meng's example. You can do what works for you. Meng suggests two people who are close to you, friends, family, loved ones. I've done it with my dogs, quite frankly. If you really want to have, you know, those people who know that I have the most interesting dog in the world, Presley, she's just absolutely adorable to me. And so I can picture her in my head. And one morning I just said, today I wish that Presley is happy. Well, what do you do with a dog? I pictured her doing her dog stuff, and it puts a big smile on my face. So three people or entities or energies, if you want to use angels or spirit guides, whatever. Three energies, we'll just call them that. Again, I follow Meng's example of two people who are close to you and one who you know of, but maybe you've lost touch with, or there's a distance that separates you. And you just literally, now this is my wording, today I wish that, and then you put in whoever's name, and then the present tense is happy. It's that simple. So again, Tara is, not should be, not will be, not is going to be. Tara is happy. And it's a 3-minute meditation in the morning before you get out of bed. Not after you get out of bed, because now you're doing stuff. Your head's working. Open your eyes. Whether you're in the dark or the light, doesn't matter. You're laying there to yourself. You go through and just make those three wishes. And then forget about it. Just go on with your life. And then in the middle of the day, again, I usually go for a meditation walk about 2 or 3 in the afternoon, and usually a half hour long. And at some point during that, I will do, again, this 3 to 5 minute same thing, same wishes, exactly what I did when I first woke up. And then literally it is the last thing that I do before I go to sleep. Some people, I think, have problems sleeping. I happen to be one of those people that I know I can lay down and I'm out. So for me, I've programmed myself to the last thing I do before I'm out is, today I wish that. Once you start doing, so it's 3 people, morning, noon, night, and then tomorrow it'll be 3 different people, and eventually you'll recirculate and revisit them and reloop. But it's 3 people, 3 times a day, every single day. This is intended to create an addiction. And it's an addiction. It's an addiction to happiness.
Yeah, addiction to happiness and constructive mind programming.
That's all it is.
Yes.
You and I both know, as hypnotherapists, that the brain is this marvelous computer, and that all we have to do is bypass those critical faculties that are telling us something entirely different and replace it with new programming that's more positive and profound. And so that's what this is doing. We're literally, I'm making it easy for people. If you want to get down on a technical level, I'm rewiring and reprogramming people.
Yeah. And it's not to say that, bad things aren't going to happen to everybody, because, of course, bad things happen to us all.
course.
And they do. And the thing is how do we react at the time? Do we hold the sacred space? I've had my son is going through a custody battle, and where do you, he is, I can say that I have watched someone come into their personal strength. And, the challenge of it has just stepped him into being the person that he needed to be all along in the world. And so, as painful as the steps are, it has just been a beautiful miracle happening before my eyes. And so,
It's one of those things. See, it's very interesting because you talk about two different challenges here. One is that of your son. And now it's compounded and overlaid by you as a mom. And nobody likes to have bad things, challenging things, troubling things happen to a child. And you don't like to have things happen to family. And so there's the Tara nurturing, protective bear side of you too. Stuff happens, and you're going to get angry, you're going to get upset, you're going to go through those things, but it's going to be different, and it's going to be different because it passes. You're going to realize it's just passing, and that you suddenly realize that a lot of the emotions that you thought you were the victim of are very transient, and that they come and they go, and you're going to start realizing by using any of these techniques, if not all of them that Tara and I have chatted about, that they empower you not to react but to respond any way that you want to, and that you have more control. Once you get to that worldview that, Tara, you actually mentioned, and that I like to reinforce with people, and that's that the world is conspiring for your own good. Most of the time, we just need to get out of the way.
Yes, there are all shamanic signs usually when bad things are happening. You live up to the foundations of your life. If, there is goodness within you, there is success, there are accomplishing goals, there's wisdom, but they're building of foundations there that all of a sudden that within you live up to, instead of letting it crush you, you live up to. There's no fear. If you don't fall into the fear, then you live up to your greatest self. And that's, and a lot of people let fear rule their life. Yeah.
People will I'll give somebody who's listening who happens to have Netflix, and again, it's not a promotion for them. I don't have anything in the company. It's just that, a lot of us, me included, have been trained by Tony Robbins. And Tony, when I went through the Leadership Academy, which I don't think he even does anymore, taught you how to do certain things to help others. It wasn't his typical, walk on fire thing, which people have been through. This was a real coaching training course. And one of the big things that he pushes is learning to blame elegantly. I'm going to say that again, learning to blame elegantly. And on Netflix right now, there's a documentary about Tony that if you have Netflix, go watch this.
I've watched it, yeah.
Because he talks about blaming elegantly. And when I first saw it, having been through all this training with him and these life-changing experiences with modeling what he does,
yes.
the reality is he got to this blaming elegantly part, and I went, that's not happening. Because I've got some stuff that's going on, and you always will. I've got stuff going on, and I'm not there. I am not going to blame elegantly. I'm just going to blame.
I know. It's like,
look, it's Mama Bear. You know exactly what I'm talking about.
Oh,
right?
Absolutely. Absolutely, but I don't.
To heck with the elegant part. Yeah. To heck with the elegant part. We're going to do the nuclear option because that's where we're going right now. You know exactly what I'm talking about. And so, again, I've at least got enough control that eventually, after I went through that BS, I got to the WTF part, which, by the way, doesn't mean what it most. For me, that's wow, that's fantastic. So I get to the wow, that's fantastic part by suddenly getting my head wrapped around, what if I really did blame elegantly? What if I can still blame? I mean, look, I'm a lawyer. I'm in the blame business.
You're in the ultimate blame business.
I'm in the business that says there's a cause, there's an effect, and there's someone who did it, and someone's got to take responsibility. I'm in that role every day, and I get behind what my clients believe, and I believe what they tell me, unless something comes up that says, "Nah, it didn't work that way." So for me to do this to myself, I got a lot of pushback. And I'm telling everybody that if they will get past that anger, that pissiness, that nuclear option, and get to the point where they can say, "This happened. I didn't cause it. At least not on this level. Maybe on a higher level, yes, you did, but it's a different discussion."
Sure.
Go ahead and have your blame. Go ahead and point your fingers, but understand the world is conspiring for your own good. Blame all you want, but you're going to be put in a better place because of it. And
right.
You know what?
I do believe that there are those shamanic signs for sure.
Yeah. And all of a sudden, again, it's one of those epiphany things where the world just suddenly stops being so dark and twisty.
Mm-hmm. Yes. Yeah. Yeah. I mean, because when you do these exercises, I believe that, the clarity of the mind, I always say there is no confusion. You are a clear thinking human. There is no confusion. You do what's right. You live up to your integrity. There's not a lot of impracticality or impropriety that I feel in my life. If others around me want to live on that low level, I would like to take the high road at all costs. But, a lot of people around you will take the low road. So you have to step in and say, okay, I'm going to hold sacred space right now for those people who take that low road, but I'm still going to take the high road. That's what is. And if it involves another human being's wellness, happiness, well-being, and just an everyday safety, then I'm going to step in and say, well, this is what I want.
Well, and you bring up two really powerful points that it's a great way as we move towards the end of the show for people to use that recency that that they're going to remember this part of the show. It's important for them to understand that you've just said two incredible things. One, your super secret power, the power that every single person has out there, is the ability to say no. And we don't say no enough. One of the new book I'm working on is called Who Do You Know? And it's who do you, and then N-O. Do you have the ability to start saying no to people? Draw your own boundaries. Draw your own sacred space. Stay true to that, the integrity that you were chatting about. We don't say no enough. And, unless something is furthering your own powerful designs, and unless something is furthering your own positivity, unless something is making the world a better place, just say no. And you might hurt someone's feelings. Okay. It's okay. It's okay to say no and hurt someone's feelings. And then the other thing that you touched on that I really push a lot, and when people first hear it, they get a little confused. It's if you want to make your world a better place, if you want to change your life for the better, change your friends.
Correct. And I say too, to not waste your energy too much. I mean, you have to develop yourself. It's all about skills and talents, decisions, solutions in your life. And sometimes that doesn't necessarily mean squandering your energy too much.
Well, if people will, here's another little fun exercise for them.
Well, before you do that, because we're kind of on our countdown, and I want everybody to be able to find Scott, and he can give you this exercise maybe later. Anyway, Scott is at thinkingmagically.com. Thinking, THINKING, magically, MAGICALLY.com. You can look for him on Facebook. Are you on Instagram too?
I am. I'm actually on all the social media sites. So
okay.
You can get all that through the thinkingmagically.com website.
Okay, perfect. Yeah, I mean, because Scott coaches, and are you having any seminars, or can they just have a session with you?
Well, thank you for asking. They can. All the information is on the website right now. All of the events I have coming up are all privately. They're all private events that people have put together for their various organizations or groups. So at the very moment, there's no open to the public event, but that doesn't mean it won't happen.
Yeah. Thank you, Scott, for being on the show. It was really wonderful. Thank you.
Such an honor,
and I'm so happy. Thank you. Hey, blessings, everybody.
Complete.
Yeah, blessings and love.
Thank you for sharing your time with Tara Sutphen. Find out more about Tara's work, upcoming seminars, and meditations to help you fulfill your dreams by visiting her website at tarasutphen.com.